Alright, here we are back in Blender again for part 5 of the Sci-Fi HUD tutorial series. This one is going to be based on this octagon looking reticle thing. As always, I'll leave a screenshot with my exact settings right here, so if you want to copy them, feel free. This will probably be the last episode in this series, as all the techniques that we've learned so far can be used to just essentially build any kind of part that you want, any look that you want. It's essentially just builds off the same techniques that we've already learned. Anyways, let's get into it. We've got a new session here. We're going to delete everything, go into geometry nodes, add back our cube, and clean up our workspace here. All right, let's add in a new system and delete that. So first we're going to add in a curved circle. Change the resolution down to 6 and plug that in here. Let's go into overhead view with 7 on the numpad. Alright, so we're going to just essentially use a few of these. So let's copy this down and use a join geometry. We're actually going to need 2 of these. So let's copy this as well and add these up here. Oops. Let's fix that. All right, and then let's look at what we're doing here. So we've got the outside one, we've got this inside one. I like to turn this inside one 90 degrees. So to do that, we're going to use a transform geometry node and turn it 90 degrees on the Z axis. Let's kind of clean this up a little bit here. And then on this one here, we're going to instance some points, but first let's put our reticle right in the middle, or our dot. So let's scale this all the way down till it's about the size of the, what is this thing called? The cursor. And let's use a fill curve to fill that out there. All right, now here we're going to use an instance on points. And we're going to instance these curved lines here. So let's go curve line. Oops, that was a string to curve. Curve line. And let's go. Perfect. We got some lines coming out, but they're rotated the wrong way. So we need a align Euler to vector. And we're going to align it to the normal of the curve here. So pull out a normal. And there we go. We have them coming out like that. Now one thing here is there's a few too many points on here. And let's actually add this up. So we need this curve right in the middle here. But we can't resample it to get the right points because we need it to look six-sided. So what we'll do here is pull out a modulo. And then use that as the selection with the index and set that to 3 so that it only chooses these outside ones here. Perfect. All right, we're 90% of the way there. Let's kind of scale this back a little bit. Maybe scale this inside one down just slightly. Perfect. All right, now we just need to give everything some geometry. So as always, it's a curve to mesh. Use a curved line as the profile. 0 out the Z, and we use something like 0.025 maybe. Yeah. Negative 0.025. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, let's do the inside circle. So again, curve to mesh. Curve line. So this one, let's go like 0.01, negative 0.01. That looks pretty good. And we can actually use this exact same one to give some geometry to the instances. Let's clean this up so you guys can see what I'm doing here. So this will go there, and that will go there. Perfect. All right, so there we go. We've got our outside box here, our inside one here, and then the instances of these lines here. So we need to set up some set materials. One here for the outside. Let's see, one here. Oops. One right here. One right here. And one right here. Perfect. All right, let's set up our two materials as always. So we've got teal glow and red glow. Let's go into the material settings, emission, make it a teal. So something like 5, red one, same thing. Set it to red. 5, go into your render settings, set on bloom. Set the world background to black. And let's assign these materials. So we've got teal, 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 red. Cool. So we've got it there. And then for the movement, we need to take all of this together and move it. So we're going to use a transform node here. This is a little bit of a unique situation here. So we're going to use a transform node. We're going to use a separate XYZ. Oops, I'm sorry. We're going to use a combine XYZ. Then a separate XYZ. And since this is a 2D thing, we do not need the Z-axis at all. And then the way I do this, and you don't have to do the same, but this is how I do it, and I recommend this, is I use an add-on called Camera Scifi. It's just to give realistic movement to your camera real easily, and I find it to be a great asset. So go find it if you like. So I'll put in a camera. Let's move it up so that we can get our thing in frame here. All right, and then I'll go to the camera settings. I'll go to Camera Scifi. This is because the add-on's already installed, so you'll need to go install the add-on if you want to have the same setup here. I'll set it to something like the close-up, turn it way down so that the camera's moving just slightly, right? Then I'll go back into my geometry nodes, and I will drag the camera info here and use the location to move the inside part of the reticle around, tracking with the camera. Now right now, since I have it set very low, it won't do much, so we need to add in one more node, a vector math node. Set it to multiply and set it to something high like 100. So now you see the camera's very slightly moving on the outside to mimic movement of whatever, maybe spaceship or whatever's going on, but then you have a larger movement of the reticle tracking with it, as if it's, I don't know, floating a little bit. So that is how I get the movement for it. Anyways, you can look up that add-on. It's called Camera Scifi. It's free. It's very useful. And this is how I make this reticle. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. As always, I'll leave the node setup here that I used for the intro preview. This is exactly how I did it, so feel free to copy my settings. And I will see you in the next one.